Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everybody. Unfortunately, my guest that I was hoping I could have as my guest panelist for tonight wasn't able to make it after all, unfortunately. But it's fine. I'm still going to talk about tonight's episode, which is, of course, in my series A Beer, a Movie, and Three Talking Hands. And tonight we will be talking about Candyman. 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 Can no, I won't say the fifth time, but we all know the story of Candyman. I'll be touching a little bit on the book, or should I say the short story, and the two movies as well. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and of course this will be just a very brief presentation. Since, like I said, I was hoping that it would be a full thing with another panelist, but it's absolutely fine. We adapt, we learn. What's that saying from Bear Grylls? We adapt, we learn, all that, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So it is what it is, and we shall move on. I'll actually change my background because I see that I still have the Christmas background, but we'll change it to this. There we are. That's slightly more appropriate. So, yeah, so today, like I said, we will be talking about the movie and short story of Candyman. And I'll be giving you guys a brief explanation of the movie. There's not going to be too much spoilers, but for those of you who haven't read the book or saw the movies, there will be a certain amount of spoilers that will be inevitable. Um, that happens. So that we're going to put that there. So let's get into it, guys. Now, where did I put my book that I had for this? Hmm. I have the book. No. Oh, it's right behind me. Of course, there we are. All right. One day I will be organized, I swear. So I'm glad to see all of you here. Hello, Afromex family and Stewart family. I'm glad to see you guys were here at one point. I know, Afro, you said that you were doing your groceries, and Stuart, I assume you're going to be popping by later on. Hello there, my favorite manager of them all, Miss Manager Lash's Journey. Thank you for being here tonight, and I do hope that you enjoy my live about Candyman. Even though I know yesterday you were asking, "What's Candyman? What is this?" Well, hopefully tonight you will learn and enjoy this little conversation. As I said at the beginning, I was supposed to have a guest as panelist with me, but unfortunately they could not make it tonight. It happens, life goes on. We move on. So I'll be talking about the short story first, just to give you guys an idea. Okay. And then the original with Tony Todd, and then the movie that came out last year. I believe it came out in December, if I remember correctly. So the original story is written by a name that you guys have heard from me before, which is Clive Barker. And it was originally called The Forbidden. The short story can be found in his collection of short stories called Books of Blood. Whoa. And it's this one is the volumes 4 through 6. So there's two volumes of this particular collection of short stories. Clive Barker also wrote the short stories to Hellraiser and to the Midnight Meat Train. For those of you who are interested in the yeah, Midnight Meat Train, I swear I know how to speak English. I have a video, a live from last week that I speak about it. It is technically 18 plus because the content is of more mature topics and graphic imagery. So I do want to forewarn you guys on that. Hello, hello, Joel, the middle child. How are you? I hope all is well on this Saturday evening. Thank you for joining me on my little conversation on Candyman. As I was saying earlier, unfortunately, my guest panelists could not make it for tonight. So it's going to be all me by my lonesome. But at this point, I'm used to it. So it's all good. And hopefully, you guys will enjoy this show just as much, regardless. Hello, Deanna R. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. I believe this is the first time I'm seeing you here. All are welcome. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I hope that you enjoy my conversation about Candyman. So, as I was saying, the movies were based on the original short story from Clive Barker called The Forbidden. It's in the second volume of Books of Blood, starting from page number well, oh, they restart the pages. Okay, but it's somewhere near the 40% in the book, 40% in the way, and the story I believe is. Let me get to the end of the story. I believe it's maybe 30 pages. Yeah, the story is 37 pages. Although it does seem to continue on with another story as well. So yeah, it's a very interesting. Hello, hello, Stewart family. Thank you for coming back. I enjoyed yesterday your music, your little DJing. It was really fun to have some of that music. Just make sure though, just some professional advice. Take it as you will. Be careful playing music on your channel to avoid copyright claims, but most importantly, to avoid copyright strikes to the point where YouTube sometimes flat out stops your YouTube video as it's playing if it detects too much copyrighted music. So just be careful of that, just to let you know. So do make sure you're getting the right kinds of music and authorizations. Just some professional advice. Take it as you will. But like I said, I appreciate the music. It's definitely a lot of fun to see all of everybody's different taste in music and how it goes. And I know you come from a different country from me, so it's always fun to have that different flair of music and hear what other people dance to and all that. So it's definitely fun for that. And yeah, it's kind of annoying with copyright because I would definitely like to be able to read books or play music without having to worry too much. But as an amateur photographer myself, I kind of understand the artist wanted to be more protective of their content and making sure that they get proper credit and most importantly, proper payment when it comes down to money. So I get both sides. It's fun having music, but let's give proper credit where credit is due. So, as far as the short story is concerned, you're really talking about the story takes place in Colony Green. I know I always have, as you guys know, uh, I really have a hard time reading. Let me Kalani Green, I believe is the proper pronunciation, but either way, I'm probably messing up the pronunciation. You guys know how I am with properly pronouncing names, but one day I will get this right. And I swear I speak English. I swear. But uh, okay, so you're using your own created music. Okay, great, great. That's always good to know. Excellent, good stuff. So yeah, so Kalani Green. So in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and we're talking about the main character being Helen Helen Lyle. And in the original story, she's basically a grad student and is really going to different places to sort of document uh, those different places. She's, I believe, in the book, if I remember correctly, an anthropology student or graduate. Excuse me. And she's basically documented urban legends, right? So she's trying to really show how things can change, storytelling, all that kind of stuff, right? So, of course, we all heard, we all have our different urban legends. I'm sure, Lashes being from Jamaica, you have your own urban legends or stories that we all tell each other as, older children, like 12, 13, young teenagers, basically. You know, I know one of the big ones that I heard growing up was, of course, somebody with a hook for a hand is going to come after you if you go to Lover's Lane. So that, that place where all the teens go and make out. And so, that was a cautionary tale, as they say, to be careful to, particularly young girls, to be more sacred with their womanhood, let's just put it that way, and to be more mindful of the advances of boys and so forth, right? So she goes to, this is also set place, Kalani Green is supposed to be in the more ghetto part of Chicago. So she's told that that part of Chicago has this urban legend of the Candyman, right? So it's supposed to be this evil big bad guy that's supposed to, cancel children and give people drugs and all that kind of stuff, right? So all the ills of that community are blamed on the Candyman. But of course, her being a youngish white lady and that part of the community being more black or African American, um, she's kind of, dismissive of it and kind of just thinks, okay, they're just stories, they're just urban legends. And especially since a lot of the bad behavior is blamed on a known, let's just say, street pharmacist. Okay. So both by her and by the police. Okay. So, and of course, there are, a lot of the other activities are blamed on the gang members there, like I said, the street pharmacists, all the people that are known, bad guys or have criminal records. Let's put it that way. So of course she goes around with a camera and one of her friends, sort of protection for herself, and sort of documents the photos, the graffiti, asks the neighborhood people questions. Of course, they're very mistrusting of this white lady that's clearly not of their world, clearly not part of the community, both because of her ethnicity, but also because the quality of her clothes and all of that just really set her apart from everybody else. Again, this is early 80s, late 70s, Chicago, bad side of the tracks. So they don't expect this pretty little white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes to be running around their neck of the woods, right? And of course, she gets more and more information from the locals, and that's when she hears directly from them, I should say, the story of Candyman, how he was, this, you know, individual, this painter from, I believe he's supposed to be late 1800s, early 1900s, who went around town. Sorry, this town name is Caprini Green. Now that I Caprini Green, sorry for the mispronunciation earlier, guys. Um, and he would go around doing portraits of the wealthier individuals of the community. And he did the cardinal sin of falling in love with one of the girls that he was doing a portrait of and consummating their relationship, let's put it that way. And their consummation ended up with a child being created out of it. Of course, all of us here know black man in the 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, I just say, getting a white girl pregnant out of wedlock is a big no for many different reasons, right? Because even if they were the same ethnicity, just the fact that this was all going on out of wedlock was definitely a lot against the social norms. So the father organized him to be chased around and canceled in a very dark and really horrible fashion. They beat him, they poured honey on him to the point where bees were attacking him. They cut off his right hand, replaced it with a hook, and once they thought he was passed away, they then set him on fire. And of course, this afterwards created a legend of this vengeful spirit who felt that he was taken down in a really horrible fashion by the community. Um, Anytime now you say the name Candyman 5 times in a mirror, he will come out and go after you or other people and or other people. Okay, so she finds out, Helen Lyle finds out this story, and of course, her and a friend don't believe it. Uh, Helen, they dares her friend to say Candyman 5 times. Helen says it 5 times, but not the friend. And that's where, of course, the whole story begins and the whole adventure, and to the point where Helen is accused of horrible crimes, horrible acts that we, as the reader of the story, knows is actually Candyman. But everybody, of course, around her believes that, well, she's a bit cuckoo. How can this magic man from the mirror, because Candyman originally comes out of the mirror, how can this magic man be you know, canceling all these people? The original movie is basically with Tony Todd as Candyman. Basically stays faithful to the book. There's not a whole lot of differences between the original story and the book, so I'm not going to read it or analyze it just because it's really more of a repetition. Now, of course, there's always going to be some differences between the book and the movie. That's normal with anything. There are changes of, what character said what and when. There are changes in maybe the general description of the characters, things like that. But for the most part, if you've seen the first Candyman, you've seen, you've read the book essentially. You don't really have to do both. But I do recommend watching the original and rereading the short story. They're both very interesting. Now, what's important to know about both the original and the short story is in both those stories, the undertones of urban versus suburban, black versus white, systemic racism, the white man going up against the black man and putting them down. Those were very present in the book and in the original movie, but they were much more subdued and much more implied rather than explicitly spoken about. Because, like I said, for Helen Lyle, being around that community as a white lady automatically put her at arm's length with the people that she was trying to talk to, because for her, she was viewed as the outsider. And because she wasn't born and raised in that community, even if she was the same ethnicity, people know world and know who's not. They know the neighbors, they know their names, they know how long they, been living there, they know what street, what apartment, all of that, right? They know all these ins and out, because for many of the people in that community, they're basically there for life in many cases. Once you're there, you're not really leaving that community. And part of the issue as well, because oftentimes the police does not intervene, it's just assumed that crime is occurring and that there's nothing really that the police can do. The community is also very self-enclosed and very protective of itself. So when they see this woman that's visually very different from them, that they know is not part of their community, and is now asking questions about their boogeyman, i.e., Candyman, their guards are obviously up. And that also plays into the story. because in both the book and in the movie, one of the characters says, "It's like, look, I do all of this because for all I know, you're going to bring me trouble." And of course, trouble does occur later on between the two of them. So I'll let you guys hopefully watch the movie to find out a little bit more of what I'm saying, because I do want you guys to watch a movie and or read this short story. So with the Candyman 2021, what has happened is that they basically, to me, I consider it to some degree a remake of the original, because it plays off very similar to the original movie, but with some differences. So here, and just so that I want to get the right information. They played it off more of as a sequel than as a straight out remake. And just so that you guys know, the original Candyman came out in 1992, while as this Candyman came out last year. So basically, in this sequel, essentially, they're basically saying that the main character, uh, whose name is Anthony McCoy in the movie. Because one of the things I intentionally left out in my summary of the book and the movie is one of the things that occurs, why I had said one of the neighbors has a conflict with Ellen Lyle, is that one of the neighbors, her child, goes missing, and the dog that she has was savagely beaten to death. And oh, sorry, beaten to cancellation. Okay, and they blame Helen Lyle for that. Okay, because she has a knife with a lot of blood in her hand and all that, and in the apartment, so they assume she did it, and she now did something with the child. At the end of the movie, that's when, of course, everything gets discovered that it was really Candyman. Helen has to go into a fire to save the child and bring the child back to the mother, to the point where Helen, because of the fire and her trying to save the child, ends up passing away herself. In the sequel, they play Anthony McCoy as that child that had survived and had grown up not knowing his past, not knowing that he was this baby all these years. In the meantime, Caprini Green was basically torn down and gentrified. So basically, that's one of the big differences between this version of Candyman and the predecessors, I should say. In this version of Candyman, they play into very much the white versus black, the rich versus the poor kind of mentality, that a lot of times, I think even at the beginning of the movie, uh, basically, now I'm trying to remember the exact line, um, but they had said something to the effect of white people created the ghetto and then, erase it when it's convenient for them, or something to that effect. So they really go heavy handed into that kind of mentality. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I'm just telling you guys a little bit of the summary of the movie, right? And the fact that Anthony McCoy did not know he was this baby does also play into it, because you can tell that he has conflicts with his mother. He never, he's not really close to her. And you'll notice that some of his backstory was similar to this story of Candyman himself. He is a struggling artist, and often gets into conflict with the white people of his community. So he gets shunned by, not really shunned, but kind of mocked by uh, the curator that's showing his art. And it's really affecting him. One of the critiques, a very, you know, hoity-toity white female critic, lambasted his work and really criticized him. So you see that he's experiencing some of the same uh, experiences that Candyman would. And basically, he gets told by a gentleman about Candyman. It's a staff member at a local laundromat because he was told about the Candyman story by his wife's brother, and he wanted to know more, and basically got into, and that led him to. I'm just gonna go back here. Just give me a second, guys. Hello, hello, blind guy, his wife, their life. Of course, I have to have little scammers be here. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm just going to take care of the scammers. Give me a second, guys, here. Always fun to have these guys. Da, 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 da. And I'm glad to see, Stuart, that you like the stream and that you're enjoying yourself. Da, 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 da. There we are. Yeah, so through his brother-in-law, he finds out the story of Candyman. Of course, the brother-in-law doesn't quite tell the story accurately, but this sets him down that path of curiosity, just like Helen Lyle, um, to find out who is this Candyman, what's the story about, what's going on. um, and basically he finds out, and he uses this as one of the pieces that the curator basically mocks him for, um, and that the art critic is like, you could do better, and here's why, right? And that sends him down a spiraling world, and he actually says Candyman 5 times in a mirror, because it's not just about saying Candyman. You have to say Candyman 5 times in a mirror in order for it to come out. And of course, for those of you who saw the movie, once he says it, he's because him and his wife, because his wife was beside him, and she said it 4 times, which is why nothing happened to her. And he said it 5 times. Uh, Once they turn their back to the mirror because they see, oh, nothing's really happened, and they start joking around, you can see in the mirror Candyman. So we can see that it's real, but they, of course, don't believe it. Okay. So with Candyman in this version, just like in the original, it's a slow burn. You're not going to see the Candyman right away and all the effects. So basically, he integrates, like I said earlier, the story of Candyman um, in his art. He makes a mirror, and the description says you have to say Candyman 5 times, etc., etc. Nobody believes him. Nobody really, takes it at face value and thinks that this is serious. And of course, at one point, hello, Wally Wealth Talk Productions. How are you? I'm glad to see you here. Oh, Lashes, Lashes, what we're going to do. No, I'm sure, Lashes, you just wanted to take care of that bot. Let's see. Your question is, what are we talking about? Wally, we're talking about Candyman. Whoa! So we can all, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Laquita. Yeah, no, it's always fun with these bots, and they're always that's always when I'm not looking. That's when I come back, I see 5 of them there or whatever. But anyways, um so where was I? Dear God, these bots have me distracted. Okay. Anyways, so basically, he now goes in a sort of spiral down, because basically for him, he doesn't believe that Candyman is a real thing. And you can see him. try to still find out more about Candyman. So he goes to the original Caprini Green, or what's left of it, and gets stung by, um, you know, gets stung by a bee. That's already your first sign, because the original Candyman got stung by bees because of the honey. Now, oh, our friend Anthony is infected by Candyman. So this goes throughout the whole story. You see bees constantly being a major uh, visual element of the story. You see that the hand that he was bitten on degrade more and more. Okay, and you see at one point, the curator and his intern, think of Bill Clinton and his intern. Okay, let's just put it that way. They try out the Candyman in the artwork of Anthony, and they live to regret it, because, of course, Candyman takes care of business, right? And Anthony's wife, because she works with the curator, finds their deceased body in the show. That, of course, puts Anthony and his work in the public eye, and everybody finds out of the story of Candyman, because at this point, everybody had forgotten it. Um, and of course, people try it, it leads to people passing away, etc., etc. At the end of the story, Anthony finds out his real history, finds out that his mother was one of the characters from the original movie, and that the person at the laundromat isn't quite who he is, because Anthony had gone back and forth to the guy several occasions, trusting him, not thinking, not knowing that he's not quite the kind of man that he is. And at the end of the movie, the laundromat guy basically kidnaps Anthony and his wife, and tries to summon Candyman, because he believes that Candyman is a protector of Caprini Green and its residents, since he believes that the cops and so forth are corrupt. And basically, um, how should I? Because I know, Liquida, you're sensitive to these things, and I don't want to say anything that will perturb you too much. Um, no worries, Laquita. I understand. Lascious journey has me hungry, so I'm glad you're at least getting some food. But if you want to tune out now, that's absolutely fine. Um, so basically, the laundromat guy puts Anthony in the same kind of physical condition. So he, let's just put it this way, gives him a hook for a hand, and reveals the physical degradation of Anthony. Because at one point you were only seeing his hand degrading, but now you're seeing the full body degradation. The girlfriend escapes, and the laundromat guy chases after him, turns into a whole ordeal. The laundromat guy does end up getting deceased, and so does Anthony at the hands of the Popo, the police. And the girlfriend, or sorry, the wife is brought in by the police into the car, and is being told, look, you either agree that your boyfriend, since he's the suspect, went after us and that's why he's now been canceled, or we blame you and you go to jail. She, of course, makes the decision at that point, knowing the story of Candyman, at this point, knowing it's true, knowing that everything ended up being right. She convinces the police person to let her look at herself in the mirror, and says, Candyman, 5 times. And of course, now Candyman, aka Anthony, her husband, becomes the next Candyman, and takes over and deals with the situation in his Candyman fashion. Now, obviously, guys, I'm intentionally leaving out a certain amount of information because, again, I want you guys to be able to go watch the movie if you can. And hopefully, you'll enjoy it. If not the first one, the second one, and all that. Now, to give you guys a basic summary or my impression of the book and the movies. To be honest, there's some elements of the new movie, the 2021, that I liked, but overall, I really did not approve of the movie. Um, I really found that although it was interesting that it was that the main character was the baby in the movie, and you kind of see what happens. The fact that they turned him into the next Candyman, and that they made it a Black Lives Matter, white versus black, poor versus rich story, and really veered completely left to what the original story was. I felt that it was very disrespectful, not only to the kind of movie that it was, it's a horror movie, first and foremost. But it's also disrespectful to Clive Barker, that put a lot of time and energy both into the original story and into the movie. But it's also disrespectful for us as Black people that the only quote unquote only time we have a hero is when we have this monster that was created because, oh well, he was attacked by these white people, and look all these horrible things that these rich white people are doing to us, and they're always keeping us down. And although that does happen, I don't think that that's the experience of every single Black person in the world. And it's not to say that Black people are all living this wonderful life, but I don't think it's automatically knee jerk reaction because of the white man, you know? So the fact that they transformed this story into that really was disappointed. I also don't like the fact that although they included her by name, for anyone who saw the original, um, Helen Lyle ended up being the next Candy Woman, for lack of a better word. So the fact that, and also to let you guys know, I think there was like three or four sequels between Candyman 1992, because that's when it came out, and Candyman 2021. So the fact that they just retconned the other sequels and pretended like none of those happened, and then said, okay, well, Helen Lyle never became the next Candyman, was like another, like, it's like, come on, like you could have just picked up from the fact that because that's where I would have liked to see the movie go, where she was a Candyman, and you see how she maybe avenged things on her hand, to sort of pick up from that experience. Um, and I think when in 1992, let's see how if I remember how old I was. I was an early teenager when the first Candyman came out, and I was definitely terrified of that movie when I first. I think if I remember correctly, I think that was either the first or one of the first horror movies that really scared me. Because of course now watching it so many years later, of course the special effects are corny, and oh, it's fake blood, and oh yeah, it's people in costumes and rubber masks and things like that. But yeah, so it's the special effects definitely don't hold up, but I think overall, as far as the scares, as far as the subtle, like, oh, where's Candyman, where is he gonna come out for, really was a good job. Because to me, that's what a horror movie should be. It should be like the what ifs. What if he came out there? What if this happened to me? Where is the bad guy? It shouldn't be all given to you. The answer shouldn't just be there for you. You have to kind of discover them with the main character. So they kind of took that away in the remake, unfortunately. Um, so in this in and like I said, because the short story and the original movie were similar. I felt the same way with the short story as well. But they really did a good job of having a slow burn, really making you wonder what if, what about this, what about that, and really, getting that story of what is horror out there. And yes, there was a lot of implicit discussions of racism, implicit, like, yeah, there's definitely conflicts between whites and blacks, but that wasn't the main focus. That wasn't the main issue, because then it's not a horror movie anymore, right? It's not. When you're talking about day-to-day life or the possible day-to-day life of many people, it's a different experience, right? It's a different thing. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I had to say about Candyman 1992, Candyman 2021, and Candyman the short story. So again, just to remind you guys, if you want to find the short story, it is called The Forbidden, and it's written by Clive Barker. It is in his second collection of books of blood, volumes four, 4 to 6. Okay, and I believe you're very welcome, Lashes. Um, I think Candyman, you can find it on Amazon if I remember correctly, but I know it's one of the few movies, and I was a bit surprised that's not just readily available on all streaming services. So you might have to look a little bit for it, but I think you can go on YouTube itself. I'll double check just to be sure. Um, Let me go see here. La la la, Candyman. Let me see if it pops up. Oh well, Candyman 2 is definitely on. Okay, yeah, you can buy it on. Candyman 2 is also there. The remake is on it, and it looks like Candyman 2, the original sequel, is also on YouTube. So you might have a little hard time finding the original Candyman, um, but you can find it. I'm sure. I have what's called Cineplex Odeon where I am, um, and I was able to buy the movie through that as well. All right, so you might have to get some kind of special service to get Candyman, but hopefully you guys did enjoy my talk and enjoyed my review of the book and movies. I enjoyed, like I said, the original, but I'm corny that way. The remake, not so much, but do try to give it a try, give it a look see, and let me know what you guys think. So that's it for tonight, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this little review of Candyman. Now I'm just going to take a check to see who's still live, because there was a few people that I know were live. Um, so I have Knowledge and Relationship. That's the channel name. That's still alive. He's talking about, do all men lack ambition in relationships? So if you want to check that out, go right ahead. He has Candid Ad and quite a few other people that are on his panel. There's also Think Dragon Network. It's for you. Okay, so that's another live stream that you can go check out if you want to, especially if you're looking to network. So Think Dragon, that's the name of the channel. And then the Intentional Millionaire is still on as well for his live. So feel free to go to him, I should say. I have Miketo 3TV. That's also still live, so you guys can check it out. Miketo has what would you do if your partner is in this position? What would you do if you catch your partner in this position? So in this particular live, it's more implied that it's about cheating behavior or inappropriate behavior amongst your other partners. You can also join another networking channel in the life of Dolly, where they're playing games and meeting people. So that's another live that you guys can go to in case. Oh, Tim is live. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Wealth Talk Production. So yeah, Tim, i.e., in the intentional millionaire, is alive. So pick your poison, guys, as to why which live stream you guys want to go see. You're more than welcome to any of them, none of them, all of them, whatever you want. So of course you guys know how I end my streams. Have a great night, guys. If there's somebody that you haven't said I love you to, that you haven't hugged, seen a while, spoken to in a while, now's the time to go do that, guys. Never feel shy or that it's too late to say, I love you. So, big hug and kisses, everybody. Have a great night.